I just wanted to, before we take calls, I did want to talk a little bit because I had an interesting experience. Obviously, I want to keep it, vague, the vague book thing, but had a conversation with somebody where I basically described a dog whistle, said, hey, this is something that religious people use that is like a dog whistle thing, right? This is a line that's often used to convey, trying to think of how to put it. So I can read some quotes that actually kind of help explain what I'm talking about. And for people that may not be aware of it, I mean, you've heard the term dog whistle a lot in the last couple of years, right? Like it's been really raised as a term. And so dog whistles are when a demographic of people who usually is in a privileged position in the social order wants to use some kind of terms to disparage and dismiss and diminish a group that generally is already disparaged, dismissed, and diminished to further, mistreat them. And usually, or it might just be that they want to promote their own ideology and they don't care that they're doing it at the expense of other people, and they're just going to go forward with that. And some terms that you might be used to would be things like law and order. I'm a law and order candidate, and that generally translates to people in the dog whistle area of hearing as this is a candidate that wants to really go send the cops in and kick some asses in communities of color. This is somebody that they're describing tough on crime as being, I'm going to really amp up the racist aspect of law enforcement that a lot of people push back against. And other people that are outside, that are not people who want to necessarily marginalize communities of color more, and they don't exist in communities of colors where they're seeing this aimed at them, don't really know that this conversation's happening, and that's why they call it a dog whistle, because the right people sort of hear it, right? The other people that are, bigots like me, they give me the wink and the nod when I say law and order candidate, and the people that are in the communities that are being oppressed by this kind of law and order are generally the people that understand what's being said, and they know what I mean by it, and they know what's going to roll out once this happens as policy. But the rest of the community is just like, well, who's against law and order?
Yeah, who's against a moment of silence in school?
Yeah, it sounds
it's thinly veiled code.
Just sounds so innocuous to the uninitiated. If you're not involved in those conversations, if you're not on the giving and the receiving end of it, it just sounds like nothing.
Right.
So traditional family values, that sounds so nice. Who hates families?
Right.
Do you not like children? But it's used as a dog whistle by religious bigots in order to push for anti-gay legislation, right? Because it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And so you have this traditional family values thing that says gay people getting married is not a traditional family value because traditionally families were mom and dad and the two, the nuclear kids and
kids.
And so then you also are like, we don't want gay people to adopt because that's not a traditional family. You can't do that. And so they promote these, and a lot of people when they hear family values or traditional family values, they're thinking that sounds apple pie. But the fact is it's a raging homophobic dog whistle. And when you're on the giving or the receiving end, you know what you mean, right? And there was like all these things like the family association, right? The American families, it sounds so nice. Right? Who doesn't want to support
the troops? Support the troops. Don't you support the troops?
You can have all these. So there's all these dog whistles that go on that people hear. And when it comes to religion, there's one that's come up recently, and we've been seeing it more and more, and it is have a blessed day.
Somebody said that to me as I picked up my groceries at H-E-B just the other day, and I just kind of went,
Yeah, it's so I pulled some quotes, right? And basically this is an article, if I can find it, this is an article that, maybe I need to go down. Okay, so here we go. These are quotes from Christians. So these are Christians who say, I use the phrase, have a blessed day, and here's what I mean by it. And so the first one is, I'm thinking that have a blessed day has potential. I'm getting excited about its manifold benefits as I write. It signals that you are a Christian to another stranger out there who may be a Christian, kind of like a secret handshake. It's not overbearingly evangelical to those who are not Christians, and yet it opens the door for further discussion if they so choose. This is literally someone describing a dog whistle, right? They're literally saying the cool thing about this phrase is that it allows me to tell people who are also the Christians who want to push Christianity that, hey, wink and a nod, we're in that in-group.
Yeah.
And also, it's not overbearingly evangelical, so it goes in under the radar for people who aren't in my group. They don't recognize this as religious. And it lets me, quote, open the door for further discussion, which basically it allows me to push this so that I can get somebody to respond so that now I can evangelize to them, right? So I can promote it to people that are not Christians and try to drag them into a dialogue and bait them into a dialogue with this. And I can also signal to other Christians so they know that we're both part of the privileged group. And it's quietly enough, subtle enough, that people that aren't on either end of this, the ones that we're not, trying to convert, and the ones that aren't already in the group, they don't really know. They don't see it. Another quote was about the implications, because I was saying this carries implications about God, about Christianity, and other people were like, no, it's not, this is not, it just means have a nice day, or it's just like a way of having a nice day. And here's another Christian says, when I hear someone say, have a blessed day, I make 3 basic assumptions. Again, this is a Christian talking. 1, the person is religious. I don't see any reason why non-religious people can't be blessed, but the basic assumption is that they are religious. 2, they are Christian. And again, I see nothing wrong with non-Christians receiving blessings. And that leads to 3, which is that the blessings we want to bestow are the blessings of God and not necessarily the blessings of Jesus Christ, right? So he's saying, I'm going to say it's not denominational, but it is totally theistic, totally signals to other people in the in-group. So we know we're the Christians. I'm letting you know I'm here too. Got your back, bro.
Yeah.
And this is all about making sure that you know that I'm telling you that God is working in your life for good. Which is cool if it's the other Christian you're talking to.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to people that don't believe in God, you might as well just walk up to them and say, oh, and by the way, you're wrong. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. But I guarantee these same people would be freaked out if I had a greeting that basically said, hey, there's no God and nothing in your life is about God. Because God doesn't exist.
Good luck out there.
Have a nice day, right? Like, it's just so aggressive. Because it's passive aggressive, right? I mean, when I say aggressive, it's like they're saying, it's not in your face aggressive. It's aggressive in a way that is like, I'm going to do the same thing, but in a quieter tone that is less objectionable to the people that don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Another one, what does have a blessed day mean to you? And they answered, I don't think I use have a blessed day, but when I hear it now, I think of it as meaning have a good day and remember to thank God for it. Somebody else says, to me, this is reminiscent of the cross versus crucifix debate. Although the crucifix might be more Catholic symbol, there's nothing wrong with a Catholic using a plain old cross at all. I say have a blessed day all the time. I always considered this as a very Catholic response, though it's appropriate for any Christian or anyone from an Abrahamic religion for that matter. So they actually do see it as more specifically doctrinal, right? Like, so they're basically saying it is a Christian thing for them. That's how they read it. And if you think about it, a few of the people previously said that even though they saw the statement itself as being kind of more broadly deistically applicable, they still said, I think the person's Christian. Like, like what I get signaled when I hear this is,
in the
you're
United
a Christian.
States, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are people saying have a blessed day in India? Like, I don't know. But
Probably.
but non-Christians? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
So when someone, and this is another one, so when someone wishes you a blessed day, remember these 2 truths. First, you will have a blessed day, not because of what happens to you during the day, but because of the attitude in your heart and the awareness of God's purpose in your life. Second, you will enjoy the blessings that come your way as you learn to share those blessings with others. So again, it's like they understand this phrase to mean God, to mean religion, and I just want to make sure people understand this is a dog whistle phrase. Considerations, and there was another one I wanted to read. I want to see if I have that quote down. Might not have copied this one. I thought I did, but maybe not. But it had to do with somebody else there was an article in here it is. Yeah, this was an interview, actually, that was in the Washington Times in the year, it was posted in 2000. So this was actually years ago, right? Like this was a long time ago that this was posted, and it was, it's got some quotes in it. So the phrase is, this is from the article. The phrase is especially part of the American Black experience. Quote, they call it church language, unquote, says Patrice Shepard, assistant pastor of the Living Word Church in southern corner of the district. Quote, African Americans say, have a blessed day, and Anglos say, God bless you. If you're having a blessed day, then God is with you. It's a colloquialism in the African American church. Others say it's, oh, and then that's the end of a quote, and then this goes back to the article. I mean, it's all part of the article, but this part is not a quote. Others say it's part of Black church tradition to continually praise God, whether in or out of work. Quote, when people ask us how we're doing, we say we are blessed and highly favored of God, says Bishop Juanita Turner, pastor of New Covenant Church of the Lord Jesus Christ in Colmar, Manor. She says the majority of her members use the expression. The Reverend Bernard Richardson, chaplain at Howard University, calls it an, quote, evangelical tradition. I've heard it in white churches and Black churches, he says. What's happening in terms of our culture is people are feeling freer to use the language of their church and their faith than ever before, unquote. Not everyone was thrilled with the increase of God talk at work. Quote, have a blessed day is a religious statement, and it's not appropriate for a secular organization to be making it, unquote, says Matt Cherry, executive director of the Council for Secular Humanism in Amherst, New York. Quote, for an employee to say she has a right to make religious statements is not a matter of religious freedom. The company has a right to determine what employees say. If a customer is offended enough to complain, that speaks for itself. What she said implies you're blessed by God. Why not say, have a good day? Mm-hmm. Mm. And then this was the part that really caught me. But it's common for Black Christians to say, have a blessed day, no matter where they are, says Reverend Oliver Dwayne Walker, pastor of Phillips CME Church. Quote, we are aware that different groups are having negative feelings about that and may not subscribe to faith in God and feel that it's an infringement on them, he says. And to me, that is probably the most important admission. Mm-hmm. We know this pisses off people who believe otherwise, and that's fine with us, right? Fine with us. Mm-hmm. So you've got all the elements here of like the dog whistle. Number one, we know it upsets the targets. Mm-hmm. Number two, we know it's full of God, and a lot of us recognize it as a Christian thing. Like I see it as a Christian. They're saying that it's like a Black church thing, but they also admit more white churches are doing it, and that was in 2000. And I think by now, 2019, I see it. It's not a racial thing as far as what I see. Now, I'm not living in a community with a Black church, and it might be more prevalent there. I'm not saying that it is or isn't. I can't make that determination. I can say, though, that I see it, and I'm not going to Black churches. Right. So this is a dog whistle. And, you know, I had someone say to me recently, but it can mean other things, right? Like it can mean have a nice day. And kind of like what they were saying, you know, it reminded me of what I think it's Andrew Gillum said not long ago. It's not that I'm saying I think you're racist, it's that racists think you're racist, right? Mm-hmm. When you use dog whistle language, somebody could be using this and think that they're a Christian, they think it sounds nice, and they think it's a well wish, and it is their way of having a great day. Have a great day. Mm-hmm. And maybe they aren't totally aware of all of this. It could be that there's a lot of Christians that don't think that they're necessarily analyzing everything that comes out of their mouth or everything that they do. But the question is, if what you're saying is a dog whistle for religious bigotry, for religious promotion of ideology and diminishment of other, religious ideas, and you're using that phrase, and you're made aware of how this makes people feel in marginalized minorities, and you still want to use it, you have to ask, are you one of those people that is cool with the racist thinking that you're racist? Mm-hmm. Right? And one of the things that also caught me, if I can find it, I'm kind of losing my place here, but it's just like this is, it's just one of those questions where, do you want to know? Like if I'm using a phrase or doing something and it has like these bigoted connotations to it that I'm not aware of, please tell me.
Yeah, I want.
Don't just walk away, like just say, hey, do you know what the implications are of what you just said? Because, if I'm running around saying I totally support traditional family values, please stop me. Stop me
Tell
and
me
say,
what that really means.
Are you sure? Because this is like a homophobic dog whistle, Tracie. Were you aware of this? Make me aware. Make me aware. I want to know. And I want to know because I do care if racists think I'm racist.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be that person. So let me know if that's what I'm doing. And, I'm willing to assume that the person using it maybe doesn't understand what they're using. But at the same time, it doesn't matter because it's it's still it's still the dog whistle. And saying that people don't always mean it that way is basically just saying that it's an effective dog whistle.
Right. And if they keep doing it after you know that it's not okay, then it is flat aggression.
Yeah, I mean, hearing somebody say, yeah, I say it all the time, I know it pisses people off. LOL.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pray for you.
All right.
That's another good one.
That's your thing, right? You be you.
It means nothing to me.
So there we go. And we have calls. That's all I wanted to say, but that was kind of my